He's angry about mortgages. It's Angry Mortgage. He's swearing. He's cursing loud. He's old. He's opinionated. And he's been doing this so damn long. This program is about mortgages, and this is mortgage advice, but the advice may not apply to your situation. Contact licensed mortgage professionals for specific recommendations before you make decisions about mortgages. You may not agree with Ron, but if you don't, he thinks you're wrong. Oh, and did we say there is a lot of swearing?
And we are back.
We're back.
Wow, that was a big show last week. People love crime.
Yeah. I mean, true crime does put me to bed, so yeah, we love a good crime episode.
We love a good story of malfeasance. Okay. All right. There might be some other developments on that story from last week, but we're gonna watch and wait and pulling some threads together, and we're gonna see about that more. But we got a couple of big announcements.
Yes.
10,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Woo!
Okay. Now, for Mr. Beast, that's fuck all. That's like the last 3 hours, okay?
Well, for a small little Canadian podcast.
The mortgage-centered podcast.
Not
with an
bad.
Ancient fat man as the center of attention. Look, and thanks to your help with it, and everybody else, all the people in the team in the background, and thanks to you, the subscribers. Keep subscribing.
And that's just YouTube. Like, we can't.
Oh, there's a huge on Spotify,
and, Apple
Pod,
Pod.
and,
Yeah.
Sure, it's great, but it's hard to gauge those.
It is. Yeah.
You got to hire a company to do it for you.
A lot of behind the scenes on that one. Yeah.
So. But anyway, YouTube going good. And I'll just continue to remind everybody, this is ad free.
Yeah.
Like there's no.
You don't need that YouTube Premium to watch us.
We don't. No. There's going to be there's always commercials. They always get you. Okay.
True.
But podcast,
not from us though.
Not from us. Okay. And we sort of take a certain amount of pride in that. So we're not. We don't go out and look for advertisers to add more advertising to your. Now, a lot of people would correctly say, "Hey, Ron, nobody's actually reaching out to advertise with your fucking sweary podcast." Okay, no one wants to hear you curse in the advertising world. So yeah, no one is asking you for it anyway. So that is actually true. I can't escape from that.
Yeah.
And also another big announcement. So we tape on Fridays. And the podcast runs on Tuesday, as everybody knows.
Cat's out the bag.
Cat's out of the bag. Well, I think everybody knew.
They've caught on.
I think people know by now. But big announcement on the weekend, this long weekend, the May 24 weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. Even though 24 is far away, 24 is far away, we're having the...
Easy to say. It just, it landed one time on a May 24, and it just stuck to be May 24.
It just stuck. It's supposed to be the 21st, okay?
Yeah.
But now it's just
fourth year
weekend,
going in.
But it's like the third weekend. But anyway, long story short, in Canada, I think in the States there's Memorial Day, but in Canada,
it's next weekend, but yeah.
In Canada, it's a long weekend on the third weekend of May. Okay, so it's everybody's closed on Monday, and that's great. But the real important thing that's happening this May weekend, this May weekend holiday is Jan is getting married.
I'm getting married.
Congratulations, Jan.
Thank you. A little young, but hey.
Oh, wait a minute. How old are you?
27.
I got married.
Okay, well,
21.
not compared to your time. Okay, I would have had like 5 kids by now, but
not compared to the medieval times, right?
I wouldn't even last this long. I would have been in like my pre-teens having children. So,
but you're not far off.
No,
getting married in your 20s.
We've been together for very long, so it's.
No, but that's considered young, right? Getting married in your 20s.
It is, because I like a lot of the weddings that I've been to, people are like early 30s. So I'm like, well, whatever.
Okay, so like, I just got to say it out loud. If for all you women who are getting married in your early 30s and thinking about starting a family, hope you froze those eggs. Okay, like seriously. I mean, like,
it's not easy. It's not easy. Unfortunately, that biological Timer? It's not on our side sometimes.
Sometimes not. Anyway,
What can we do?
congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I'm sure it's going to be a terrific thing. And it looks like the weather's going to be good for the weekend. And it's great. It's great. It's great when people get married. Okay. Do you know why we have big wedding ceremonies? Why a lot of people come?
No.
So it's very historical.
I just thought because it was too many family members.
When we look back on history, we know that, civilization as we know it really only got going about, maybe about 10,000 years ago. Okay. And prior to that time, mostly people were sort of hunter-gatherers and wandering around and, gathering some berries and nuts and grabbing a squirrel and eating it or some damn thing. But when the world became agricultural, which has obviously been for the last many thousands of years, several thousand years, you needed a big marriage ceremony because the recognition of who was together became very important. Because it was this extreme importance of passing down from one generation to another the agricultural land. Because you worked your certain place, right?
Yeah.
And your family would keep that land, right? And as soon as land became important, weddings needed to be attended. Like there had to be a big, everybody come here and watch this. These two are together now.
Yeah.
Okay? Because everybody's got to know that, because everybody's got to remember, because when mom and dad croak, somebody takes over the,
Yeah, they basically just like double their assets.
Well, but you needed to be, and you had to keep track of who the next generation of kids was, right? So everybody in the village, everybody in the group had to come around and see. It's just continued to this day. Okay, but because let's face it, the cavemen didn't have weddings.
No.
Okay, that was.
No, they didn't. And the weddings they had back then definitely were not as expensive as today.
Well,
that's probably why there's not a lot of weddings too. Because
we can do a whole show on that.
It's a whole down payment of the price of a wedding. So, yeah.
We could do a show for sure. Okay. All right. So let's move into the show, but congratulations again.
Thank you.
Okay. I want to say one quick word about something that we see in the comments. There's really no comments in Apple. Is there comments in Apple podcast?
I have an iPhone, but I use Spotify. I don't use any Apple.
Okay, so that's me too. I use Spotify for everything podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no comments on there.
I think there are.
Are there?
I think they're Apple. I think they're actually Apple comments.
I know there's ratings. I don't know.
I think they're comments. I really do.
I think we have to look into that.
You notice we've been doing this for over a year, and we're just looking into it now.
We're just like, I wonder.
We are backwards fuckers. Okay?
Whoops.
Whoops. I don't know. Are there comments?
We'll deal with the marketing later.
Now, we do absolutely know there's comments on YouTube.
Yes.
There's a shit ton of comments. Actually, we have our executive producer, Jessica, one of her jobs is blocking comments on
those mean fuckers.
There is some mean shit that gets said. Okay.
Yeah.
And
fucked up shit. That's
so. Let's just be honest. I'll tell you what we're gonna block on. If you get blocked forever, you're never gonna be able to see the channel again. And it's always just anonymous people. It's like angry peach liquor 16458. Okay. It's almost the same kind of nonsensical, and they don't put out any content of their own. Like when you click on it, you're like, oh, this is private, or no one's posted anything yet. They're just lurkers. Okay. Yeah. And the amazing thing is that, first of all, we instantly ban all the racist stuff. Put some racist,
anything fucked up,
homophobic, racist, you're gone.
You're gone.
You're just gone. Instantly gone.
Yeah.
Never to be back. And we do, if you just shout out something like, if your comment is basically just, you are all stupid fuckers, okay, then you're gone. You're just gone. I mean, there's no point.
We don't want the haters.
We got enough. We're in the mortgage business. We get enough hate as it is.
No,
okay.
Literally. Literally.
So, but sometimes we're accused of that we're just either doom scrolling or rage farming. Okay. That, hey, and I'm actually going to address some of that right now quickly. We're in the mortgage and housing business. That's what we're at. We're at real estate, housing, mortgage, and this is what I got to say. Folks, there's not a shit ton of good news.
Yeah.
Okay. Like we're not doing medical research here.
Yeah.
Okay. Like if that would be, I can't do it because I know Sweet F all about it.
Yeah.
Okay. But like, for instance, last week, some guys think they found a cure for ALS.
Which is amazing.
Which is absolutely amazing. And that is fantastic news. Okay. But I'm Ron Mortgage Guy.
We can't provide the same.
That's not our thing. Okay.
Yeah.
But some people, you have topics that can have good news. Okay. Like medical research. Tons of good news. Like some bad, but mostly lots of good. Okay. Some other things, like we could be in the entertainment. We could be covering movies, a TV series. Always something interesting, fun to say. That's not us. Okay. We are stuck with a subject. We're not stuck. We love it. It's our jobs. Yeah. Okay. But we wouldn't do it every day. I'm 67 talking about it constantly, right? So I'm obviously I like to talk about it.
Of course. Yeah.
But shit, there's not a lot of good news. Mortgage rates high. Shit happens. Housing difficult.
Housing market's terrible.
Prices, real estate prices batshit crazy. Too many places. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't have there's not a lot of good news.
Unfortunately, no.
So that's the story of why we never have very much good to say. And finally, in terms of so that's starting to deal with the doom scrolling thing, but to deal with the rage farming thing, look, we try to be very, very scrupulous about the politics of this stuff. Okay. Yes. When an actual minister of something says something, we have to mention their name. Okay. Or it doesn't make sense. Or we're just lunatics. Okay.
Yeah.
If
we need to cite our sources.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. We have to cite the sources.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the premier of a province says something dumb, okay, or does something stupid, we're going to mention their names.
Yeah.
Okay. If the prime minister or the finance minister say something dumb that we find just, outrageous. Wow, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Or that we know is never going to come true, okay, we're going to mention their names, okay? But I want to get this really, really clear, because this will be the 100th time I've said it. We are not angry at these people. We get disappointed. We're mad at some stupid stuff. But we don't think they're evildoers.
Yeah, we may just not agree with their decision.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean we want to torture their house.
Yes, exactly. I mean, 100%. Yeah,
it's not 0 to 100.
Nor do we want to say they're stupid.
Yeah, of course.
When I know many, many different ways that they're not stupid.
They wouldn't be in the positions they are if they were.
Sometimes you can be pretty dumb. Like, Trump will be president again, maybe, so look, at the end of the day, it makes because I know them. Like, I don't like have drinks with them, but I know people who work with them. Sometimes those people reach out to me. That's a whole other little micro topic. Like, people in government and people in the opposition do reach out to people like me, like other people who do podcasts about real estate, mortgages and things. They do reach out to us. And, some would say, oh, they're trying to co-opt you, Ron. They're trying to get you on their side. Well, okay. Obviously, I'm an old fucker who's just going to say whatever the fuck I think, because that's just the way if you haven't noticed that by now, folks, you've been listening for long, okay?
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, so what if they reach out? That's fine. Let them reach out. We're still going to say what we're going to say. We don't believe we're being co-opted. But I do want to make this point so clear. When you talk to these people, whether it's people in opposition, whether it's people in the government, all governments, whether it's Queen's Park, federal government in Ottawa, you name it, city governments, okay? I do not believe the people who work there they're not stupid. They're not in the pay of, evildoers. Like, it's not a worldwide conspiracy to harm us, okay? They're just wrong, okay? And I have talked to some extremely smart, like, I want to say that clearly, very smart people in the government. Very smart. Like, I don't agree with them, but they are bright as hell, okay? and they work very hard. Let me get that really fucking clear right now, okay? Anybody who thinks these people are not working hard, shut the fuck up.
They're not doing just a 9 to 5. They're on the clock.
They are
Yeah.
right. Jesus, they're working hard. Like sometimes you'll get a text message from people who it's 9 o'clock and they work for government. Okay. Like, yeah, fuck. They're smart. They're hardworking. They believe in what they're doing, but they may be ridiculously wrong. Okay. But we shouldn't be mad at them. Like, they're not, like, we talk about people who are clearly, like, not born of foreign dictators, okay? Like, they're not, or made up a story about how they've robbed Canada of $400 million in, like, just 8 years, or, like, we don't need to do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary, okay? We can identify that they're wrong, and we can vote them out eventually. If you think they're that
Power
wrong.
of democracy.
Yeah, if you think they're that wrong. But folks, the more we yell, the more we scream, the more we both sides. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't believe we should be attacking people personally, attacking their families, attacking their marital situations, any of that stuff. It doesn't make sense. Okay. The policies are bad. If the policies are bad, let's go after the policy.
Attack the policies.
That's it. Okay. All right. So the Bank of Canada announcement is now only 2 weeks away.
We're close.
When you listen to the podcast, it's only 2 weeks away. TIFF will visit.
Tiffy's making the announcement.
The TIFF puppet will visit.
Excited.
For that, for the date, the podcast before the announcement date. We will see the Bank of Canada governor's Muppet appear at the podcast. So that's like 2 weeks from now. Okay. And as far as what the Bank of Canada announcement was going to be for June, I don't know. Okay. Like, I mean, I've made the announcement actually ahead of time before.
Yeah.
But I can't do that. So the Bank of Canada announcement, I'm pretty damn sure there's no change. Like, I am really heavily in the no change area.
We'll see how you feel in 2 weeks.
And I might make a full decision by the end of 2 weeks. Because there is a couple of things that come up in between, a few reports, a few things to look at. But I still don't believe there's going to be any cut. July looks more interesting, but I'm still not sure. Okay. Now, I got to remind everybody, though, I'm not afraid. I actually have the money put aside. I have a permanent bet for anybody who wants to bet.
Whoever's interested.
$10,000. There is no reduction. People sometimes, well, let's do $200. No, we're not doing $200. You have to have the courage of your convictions. Okay, $10,000 that the Bank of Canada will cut this year. Because I do this because we have the people who say, you are so wrong. It's going to go to 8%. You don't know shit. There's no it's going to go way up. You don't know shit. You're dead wrong. You're always saying this stupid shit. You're wrong. It's going to go up. And you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I'm going to tell you about the price of copper going up. I'm going to tell you 25 other fucking stupid things. Look, if you really believe that the Bank of Canada is going to raise rates, I have a $10,000 standing bet. Bank of Canada will drop rates this year. I'm not giving odds. Okay. Well, give me 4-1 on that. No, I am not going to give you fucking 4-1 on that. Okay. That's my bet. And I know it's going to happen, which is not prediction. It's analysis. Okay. It's that simple.
It's your forecast.
Yes. And it'll happen. And I'm going to put 10 grand up. So, but here's the thing. You gotta be like a righteous person. You got to give me your actual name. You're not Butt Floss 73621. Okay. I mean, that's, I'm just making up a name from social media that I see. Okay. That you got to come forth. We got to exchange emails. We got to put 10 grand with a agreed upon third party to sit there and wait.
Legit.
It's not going to be, no, Ron, I can be trusted. I will pay.
I'll be trusted. Give me the check and then I'll only cash it if it's for real.
We're going to use the real third parties here. Okay. Yeah. Trusted third parties will hold on our money, all the 10 grand each, and We'll see. So
We'll
far,
see who wants to put their money where their mouth is.
so far,
Zero takers.
Surprise,
surprise.
Yeah, surprise. All the people. It's going to 8%. Not
Oh
no
my
no
God.
10 grand.
Can you imagine a
No,
world where we're at
I don't
8%?
I don't want to think about that at all. You're right. So okay.
No.
So I do want to talk about a story that's been developing for the last little while, and it's got more play in the last 2 weeks. And that is because it's going to have an effect on a small number of mortgage borrowers. And I want to talk about it so that small number could have some awareness if they're listening. The TD Bank has already set aside $500 million US out of concerns for a fine to be imposed by the U.S. banking system and the SEC. What's it all about? Well, the TD Bank since 2016 was victimized in some U.S. locations. Nothing has been identified in the same way in Canada, although if I'm very honest, I'd say that we don't do the same level of investigation in Canada. The TD Bank was subject to a long-term, starting in 2016, money laundering investigation in their U.S. operations. And it's crystal clear because the TD CEO has published it. Said, yes, we've had failings. We did not do the right job in terms of anti-money laundering work, and we did it. We admit it, and we're gonna fix. It's getting fixed, and it won't happen again. But he takes responsibility.
That's good.
So there's a lot of talk. There's an actual possibility the fine could be $2 billion.
Jesus.
U.S. dollars, real money,
Oof.
not Canadian peso, like real money.
Canadian peso.
Not Canadian peso, like real money. Okay. And say this quickly. I know a lot of TD people, TD bankers, hardworking, devoted,
It's great people.
great people who've done nothing but good for us in our company, and have done nothing but good for Canadian consumers because for a couple of years they had the lowest interest rates in Canada. Period. Okay, and a lot of people took advantage of that, and it should be thanked. And this is none of those Canadian people's issues. This is about rogue actors in the United States, really on a branch level people who are doing nefarious things. Okay. By the way, this happens in every bank. It just the investigation went after TD and in the States, and that's what happened. And they admit it. Nobody's hiding it. But what I want to point out to other mortgage borrowers is, because this is an AML issue, anti-money laundering, it's overseas transfer of money, because all of this stuff involved overseas actors. Okay. Sometimes the money stayed in the U.S., but it was all overseas actors moving, and a lot of money did move out of the country and into the country. So if you've got a down payment on a mortgage, you're buying a house and you've got a down payment, and some of your money is coming from overseas, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to be a walk in the park. Okay. Don't get me wrong. There's some European countries are classified as safe countries, but other countries are classified as high risk. And I'll just be straight up with you. If money is coming from the Gulf, coming from the Middle East, coming from Russia, okay, not really, hardly ever happens. Coming from India, coming from China, there's going to be some scrutiny of that down payment transfer. Okay, and it's, by the way, 99.9% are all legit. Okay, let's face it. If you're somebody who's coming from India and you've lived here long enough now that you're putting down roots here and buying a home, and you sold a house in India, yeah, you got money coming. Or your parents are saying, well, you time for you to buy a house. So yes, here you go. Here's a gift from we live in India. The weather's better. So we're going to send it to you in Canada. God bless you, our kids. Okay. But it's going to be looked at. Okay.
Isn't there already a system in place that views all foreign income?
Yes. There, every dollar that comes in from overseas from a bank on a bank-to-bank basis is has to go through compliance. It has to go through AML review, and it has to go through compliance. You're absolutely right, Jan. That's the case.
So are they just adding more hoops?
Yes, they're adding more hoops because if you look at money laundering historically, the buying and selling of real estate is a great way to wash money because you buy a house, a bunch of cash comes together, you buy it. Eventually you sell it. You might sell it very quickly. Like you might only sell it in less than a year. And when you get that check for the proceeds, that money is clean as the driven snow. Okay, that is clean money. Okay. So that's a system that gets used. Okay. So I'm not trying to alarm anyone. I'm just trying to say that for those of you who are listening who are in the mortgage business, I'm sure you've all gone through it. Not only is down payment very complicated today because people love to move money around. Nobody just keeps their money in the same bank with one savings account, one checking account. Like
that's boring.
That does not exist. So there's a tremendous amount of movement on down payment. And just for the people out there listening, we have to account for the movement of basically every sum of money over $5,000, sometimes as much as $2,500 is looked at. But certainly money that comes from overseas is going to be meticulously reviewed and understood where the source of that money is.
Well, it's important people keep their ducks in a row then.
It is. Now, it's amplified now. It's amplified because obviously our banking regulator, OSFI, they look at this and they say, well, there was the story too of the HSBC thing where they were doing deals and they're also using fake job letters from overseas and that happened. And RBC will clean that up. I guarantee you. Okay, that's not an issue. But the regulator just says, stop it. We got to look really closely. Other countries are kicking our asses on this and saying, well, you're a shit regulator. And that's sort of I don't think the U.S. regulator is using that term. Hey, you shitty regulator. I don't think that actually happened. But we're all human. People at OSFI are human. And they say, well, we got to bring an end to this shit. We got to step on it.
Yeah.
So, yes, folks, if you're bringing in a down payment from overseas, there's going to be some stuff. I mean, there's going to be a little extra vigilance. By the way, if you are only getting the mortgage from your own bank, you'll probably find much less because the record's right there.
Yeah,
okay?
It's easier.
But if you've been banking with Bank A and you're getting a mortgage from Bank B, there's going to be some more. There's going to be some more diligence about your down payment than there was in the past. Just put it out there. Okay, it's time for viewer mail. We're gonna look at what the viewers are asking.
Got some questions. This one says, is this a good time to buy a house in Alberta? We just got here. We have good jobs, renting right now, but prices seem to be going up here in Calgary.
Listen, that's one area where I would say that prediction is a crap business. Okay, all I will tell you is that Alberta has been the one shining star of rational pricing.
Yeah.
But it also has had the highest growth of any. The growth numbers there are off the chart.
Well, that's what they wanted when Alberta was calling.
Yep. Alberta called and we showed up.
Ontario did not hesitate to answer.
We showed the fuck up. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, huge growth there. And certainly prices have edged up. There's no question. Is this the perfect time to buy? I honestly don't know. I couldn't say. I would tell you that the prices in some locations in Alberta are still significantly reasonable compared with British Columbia and Ontario. If you don't think of smaller towns like Medicine Hat, Lethbridge, Red Deer, like I know literally all of them. Okay, Banff is expensive, of course.
Of course, yeah.
But well, not really Banff. Banff is federal land, but
it's
Canmore, Kananaskis country. They're all expensive, but they've gone up. They've just gone up because it's a beautiful place. Listen. And Edmonton obviously is still from a major city with a hockey team. Oilers, Flames, you're good too. Relax, Flames, don't get mad.
It's just hella cold, but
hella cold, hella cold in Edmonton. I lived in Edmonton for 4 years, four winters,
4 winters.
5 winters, maybe 5 winters. Yeah, it could get cold. But the prices are reasonable there, I would say, compared with other major centers in Canada. Quebec City is also beautiful, and it's inexpensive too, but it's a decent sized city.
There's a little bit of a language barrier there, though.
Yeah, you better speak French.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Quebecers. We're not licensed in Quebec. We're not licensed in Quebec.
We're not, no.
But I love Quebec. I just say it out. I love Montreal. It's one of my favorite towns in the world.
My brothers live there. They never wanted to come to Toronto.
No, great city. Jesus, great city. It's if you like to eat and drink and you like good culture and a vibrant cultural scene. I mean, it is a fantastic place.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not even pitching because I can't do any mortgages there.
Yeah.
So, this is actually just facts. But anyway, long story short, we believe that Alberta is continuing on the upswing. That means pricing acceleration. But, when you talk about Alberta, there's always a couple little things to remember. It is some days energy prices go to rat shit and things decline a little bit there. Okay. Let's just be honest. That's been the history of the place. It was the history when I lived there. And we just have to realize that that's the way it is. Okay. But, yeah, I mean, it's a good city. Calgary's a great city, by the way. And, you just have to carefully monitor your budget, understand what you're getting, just wait. You're renting now, just wait for a little while. You always need to get used to a marketplace, figure out where you want to buy. You can't just show up and buy. That's not wise. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good place.
And they're building, which is nice.
Absolutely.
This one says, looks like something is up with my CIBC mortgage. My payment is $3,460 a month, but it looks like the monthly interest is $43.70 a month. Is my mortgage going up? What should I do?
Well, I'm going to guarantee your mortgage is going up.
Yeah. If you're not covering interest, that's a red flag.
We've talked about it before, but we haven't talked about it for a while. So we got several banks in Canada. When you have a variable rate, your payment does not go up when the rate goes up. Okay. I think all those banks do a pretty good job of letting you know that, so you're paying $2,000 a month, in this case, more, but if you're paying $2,000 a month, you start off, the rate was 1.45 back in the day. It's now 6.2. And
ouch.
Yeah, big ouch. And your interest is probably, when you were $2,000 a month, you were paying off $1,300 of interest and $1,300 principal, $700 of interest, maybe $1,400 of principal. Your interest was only $600 back when the rate was like 1.45, and now that's all gone haywire, and your interest now exceeds your total payment. And that's what's going on with what you described right there. That's what's happening. And my advice to you is very simple: try to manage that missing money. My advice to everyone is make up that pay all the interest. Do not let your mortgage grow, because you did not plan on letting your mortgage grow, and you need to get used to higher payments. A renewal will come, and the payments will go up. It will never be 1.45 again. So at least make sure your mortgage is not growing. I highly recommend it.
Some lenders don't allow you to not pay the minimum?
Yeah, no, if you're with RBC, and RBC is one of the very biggest mortgage lenders in Canada, you have to always pay at least the interest. So for those people at variable rates, their mortgages have gone up a bit. They haven't gone up a ton, because all RBC says you got to pay, I think it's like $5 a month. You got to pay $5 a month of principal. So that means very, very, very little principal is getting paid down. You're basically interest only.
Yeah.
But they do maintain that. Right. You're right. Correct. Okay. It's a good question. We haven't had it for a while, but obviously it just comes around once in a while again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
What's with rates these days? Like I talked about the Bank of Canada announcement coming. Fixed rates, which is basically still what everybody's taking as fixed rates. A little bit of volatility, but not massive. We saw a little bit of downward movement this week. Let's say a 3-year fixed, which seems to be the most popular product out there. You can still get it for $509. There's still a $509 rates out there. $519. It used to be heading up for like $529, $539, but that's come off. Okay, and we're seeing some reduction there. So that's a move that I'll tell you, our rates are becoming so tied to U.S. bond yield movement today. It's Canadian bond yield movement is moving in tandem with U.S. 10-year. The 5-year in Canada is moving pretty much.
We're like a highly dependent child.
A highly dependent child for sure on Big Daddy USA. So they had a fall. They had a drop in the 10-year, pretty significant one, last week, and we came off. So you actually, if there's any legs in this trend, or if there's yet another statement from the U.S. Fed that there's no hikes, forget about the hikes, no hikes coming, then we could get a little bit more capitulation on yields, and we could see 4.99 3-year again. Like high ratio, it's already there. Like I think high ratio, I think we're down to. By the way, that's just less than $1 million. CMHC insurance, perfect ratios. Not it's
not everyone's cup of tea.
No, it's not many anymore. Like it's about 6% in Ontario. But for purchase, we're as low as I think we're 4.74 on a high ratio 3 years. So we typically have the best rates in Canada on that stuff. So, but not that many of those. And I would say today, if we just see a little bit lengthening of this bond yield reduction, we get back to 4.99 in a little bit more. We can get back there in another week or 10 days. If we see another fall of say 10 basis points in yields, we could even possibly get back there. I don't know, but it's not going up anymore on the 3-year. Housing market. You know what I've decided? It's May 24 weekend, and the spring market and the housing market never fucking sprung.
Never. No. It's just at least not here.
Not in Ontario. Everything's good in Alberta. Probably Montreal is fine, maybe a little bit, but I'm telling you, there's no real estate agent in this town thought it was a fantastic spring market. I don't think so. And but there will be a couple who'll put in the comments section, no, you're wrong. If you come with my real estate company and me, I did really, really well. You might be lying.
Well, things are tough, right? Like it's so expensive. And it's just, we had expectations of the market to look a little bit better, but with these rates, like if you don't even qualify, you don't even look at houses.
Yeah, because people were saying there'd be a big fall. Rates would all come down substantially by now, and they haven't. So that's.
Yeah, I bet people are just putting it on hold right now. Like a lot of people are just shelving the idea of purchasing.
I hear that, but yet we've seen an increase in listings. So for the first time, we've seen a distinct increase in listings in Ontario.
Is there a specific listing?
Yeah, it's the condos. It's the little tiny condos. It's the rental condos. We've seen a big burst in those. But we have seen increases. We've seen some increases in vacation properties too, as well. And
you think that's because of capital gains tax?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the capital gains influence. And I think those people will be disappointed because in a slow market, vacation homes stay really fucking slow.
If we can barely afford our first home,
yeah.
Second home is out of the question.
Although there's rich people. You and I have talked about it before. There's always rich people.
That's true.
If it's the right, most beautiful cottage and the perfect lake and the magnificent, lake footage, they can sell. But my observation is not that hot. So the spring market never sprung. And we're coming into what is, once you're deep into June, we're typically going into quiet real estate territory in July and August. And now let me just put the cards on the table. For all those real estate professionals and home financing professionals that have been struggling for the last year and a half, and hoping for a turnaround. It did not turn around in any major way. Okay. Yeah. And I'm, folks, hopium is a bad drug. So if you're really on your last legs in your real estate career or in your mortgage career, there's all kinds of people who tell you hang in forever, but if you're going, if it's costing you more to stay in the business than it is to get out of the business, you may need to think about it, because how long can you go? Yes, someday the market will improve. I know this. It's a cycle. You can
always come back.
Cycle.
It's not like you have to retire forever.
We talked to some people who are, they are struggling. So, it's, but do the right thing for yourselves. Okay. Because if you, unfortunately, in a sales-oriented business, if you talk to the people around you, they all want to keep up that positive attitude. We need to be positive. You'll never succeed. You got to be positive. Sometimes you got to be realistic. Okay, that's the truth.
Yeah.
And that brings us to our favorite part of the program.
What the actual fuck?
What the actual fuck is the difficulty that faces young people in Canada today? I'm going to get really specific, because you're in the age group. Yeah. Between 20, people got out of university, out of high school, out of university, 22 to 30. We're talking about it with my son today, Will, and he made a great point. He said, Dad, if you're in that age bracket and you're in Canada today, you literally need to thread through the eye of a needle to believe you will be very successful in this country. Because Will makes fun of me sometimes too. He says, "You boomers, fuck you boomers, you had it." And Will's 40s, so he's not a kid. But he said the path to, like, look, let me simplify it. When I was born a long time ago, okay, and I was a teenager, I didn't have a whole lot to fucking worry about. Like, you always think you have a lot to worry about. But the truth is, most of us just stumbled through, okay? Some of us planned for careers. Some of us just saw what came up. And fucking most of us ended up with, if you're a boomer, you ended up with a house, a good job. You might even have a guaranteed pension through a big company or through the government. And you kept the house. And if you didn't have too many marriages, you're probably loaded.
Wow.
You're probably fucking loaded. Okay. Look, I'll just be straight up. People I know who were born in the years that I was born, 1957, okay, 60s, early 60s, mid 50s. If you weren't like a druggie or an alcoholic,
you made it.
And you didn't have too many wives and husbands, okay, you're doing good. You're doing fucking good. You could just walk through life.
Wow.
It was an open path. It was a wide path. Now it's such a fucking narrow path. Okay? Because if you're pushed back too far in your life to when you can finally buy a home, because maybe you're not one of those people who hit the genetic lottery and you have parents who want to give you $500,000 down payment and co-sign for you and all this shit.
I'm first generation of immigrant parents, as many of us are. Yes. And, like, my parents learned English at 30, right. Like, it's not like they had their roots here from the get-go. And then now, even though my kids are going to have the privilege of having their parents having been born here and stuff, it doesn't mean that I have the same opportunities as you had.
Absolutely. You do not. You absolutely do not.
It's between a down payment or a wedding.
Yeah.
A car or your home.
Or what the
like you gotta pick your heart, pick your battles. You can't have everything.
Literally, for the people in their 20s today, you need everything to fall in place. You have to thread that needle, okay? You have to have parents who can give you help. You have to be here. And you have to go to a good school, maybe. You have to somehow manage not to have unmanageable fucking student debt.
Oh, because you have to have your parents have paid for that, too.
They better help there, too. Okay, it's like a fucking feudal society, okay?
Yeah.
And you've got to pick the right thing, okay?
The right career will pay well.
Okay, that pays. And you've got to, like, you might, your heart might be with the arts. And you might have gone through and got a MA in English literature. And the good news is, you're very good at English literature, and the bad news is you don't have a fucking job. Okay, you are the greeter. Okay, or no, not the greeter, but like you are.
But you're just another.
You're a barista, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
okay?
you're just in the field, one way or another.
Like let's face it. When I was young, you could make a very good living in a factory. Okay.
Wow.
And there were shit tons of them, particularly in Quebec and Ontario. Or you could make a shit ton of money in the oil patch. You could make a shit ton of money. You could just stumble into the fucking job. Okay. They would train you. Okay. Yeah, no, not today.
Factory workers are not paid well.
Not at all.
They're paid bottom of the barrel.
Even the CAW, which is the apex union in Canada, I mean, that is, you go to those plants and they're mostly robots. Okay. I mean, there's a lot less people there, for the love of God. So, yeah, what the actual fuck is the path to success for people in their 20s? I know this sounds like more rage farming, but for fuck's sakes, it's just true. Like,
it's our future. We are the future of Canada, and it's not looking bright for us.
Not bright. Not a shiny. Now, of course, now 300 comments are going to come like, well, if they only just learned to save, if they didn't eat avocado toast, if they wouldn't have those lattes in the fucking Starbucks, they'd be rich. No, fuck off. Not rich. Okay. The path that
opportunities is what we need.
I stumbled into life and did just fine. Okay. Very, like, sure, you had to work. You had to work. I mean, you couldn't.
But how many opportunities you had to be able to be where you are today?
Like it was right? Plentiful, fucking plentiful. Yeah. Okay, and because there was nobody who came out of university in my day laden with student debt. Even the people who were doctors, went through med school, came out with like 40 grand student debt, big fucking deal. Okay,
that's peanuts.
It's ridiculous. Yes, exactly. So and it was. The houses were rationally priced. People could buy a detached home as their first home.
Because it was 2 or 3 times their income, not 8 or 10 like today.
Or 11 or 12. Okay. So
not in the way we're going, yeah.
So what the fuck? This thread the needle, super narrow path for young people to say, I'm going to have a great life is becoming enormously difficult. And for all you politicians, and for... Why do I keep blaming government? You're in charge, fuckers. Okay, that's why. Okay, we got to find a better way, and we better goddamn find it fast.
If you want us to stick around, yeah.
All right, folks. Next week.
See ya.
If you like the pod, well, don't just sit there. Go to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and all the other ones and like the pod. And don't forget to subscribe so we can keep being angry at mortgages and swearing about mortgages. Angry Mortgage could use your support.